More than 50% of Americans have galeophobia, which is the fear of sharks. And while most people never get to experience it in real, one early 20th century ship watchman sadly had to. He accidentally fell into the wide ocean from the ship one day, and the next thing he saw was the massive, wide-open jaws of a 15-foot shark. And that was it. His life ended as the shark took and dragged him underwater, leaving behind nothing but horror for those who saw his final moments fighting for life. So what happened to this man on the ship deck? And was his body recovered? Let's find out in today's video. Sharks have fascinated and terrified humans for centuries, and shark attacks only deepen that fear. With over 100 million sharks roaming the oceans, they are apex predators, capable of sensing even the faintest splash from long distances. Their razor-sharp teeth, capable of tearing through flesh and bone, make them a true nightmare in the water. While shark attacks on humans are thankfully rare, averaging around 70-80 unprovoked incidents globally per year, the sheer brutality of these encounters leaves a lasting impact. The 1975 movie Jaws amplified our fear of sharks, turning them into symbols of pure terror. This story is roughly based on the sole account of the shark attack on Jules Antoine that was published in the newspaper in 1911. Jules was a night watchman aboard a British steamer sailing through the waters of Pensacola Bay, Florida, in 1911. His job was simple but crucial. He was responsible to keep an eye on the ship during the night to ensure everything was secure. He'd walk the decks, patrol the ship's perimeter, and make sure nothing went wrong while the crew rested below deck. But who knew that one regular day on the ship, he would find himself helpless in the jaws of a deadly predator? On Wednesday, November 8, 1911, Antoine was walking across the deck as he would during his duty hours, like normal. During the 19th century, Britain built steam-powered ships to carry people and cargo across the British Empire. In 1911, one of those ships was docked in Florida, and it was the one Jules was working on. The ship was a British-made steel screw steamer and was anchored near the naval yard in Pensacola Bay on the Florida Gulf Coast. This particular ship was launched in 1906 and was big enough to carry goods and general cargo. The crew on board was preparing as usual for their next leg of the journey, had unloaded their wares and loaded them with new stock. The crew was maintaining the decks and cleaning the quarters. Pensacola Bay was a major port in 1911, bustling with activity from the booming lumber industry and a growing fishing economy. The bay's strategic location made it a hub for trade, with ships constantly moving in and out, while its rich marine environment supported a thriving fishing industry. This made the waters especially attractive to sharks, particularly bull sharks, which are known to be seen in coastal areas with plenty of fish. The combination of abundant prey and the busy port likely contributed to the increased presence of these powerful predators in the bay. It was a quiet, ordinary day aboard the steamer, and Jules had finished his shift and moved along the deck, checking to make sure everything was secure. The sun was high in the sky, and the bay was calm without any sign of real danger. But in an instant, everything changed. Antoine, perhaps distracted for just a moment, lost his footing. One minute, he was walking along the ship's edge, and the next, he was plunged into the cold, churning water below. Jules Antoine had fallen from a height of about 10 to 15 feet, the typical height from a ship's deck. As he hit the water, a loud splash echoed across the deck, instantly alerting the crew to the scene. And this sound didn't just alert the humans on board. Sharks have an extremely well-developed sense of hearing and can detect low-frequency sounds and vibrations from over a kilometer away. That's the distance of about 10.5 football fields. Their ears are finely tuned to pick up even the faintest movements in the water, and that loud splash of Jules falling from 15 feet off the deck wasn't going to be ignored. The crew members, who are always alert for any accidental situation, quickly rushed to the railings, frantically trying to spot him in the water. The ship's calm, peaceful atmosphere had been shattered by the sounds of frantic shouting, and the desperate cries for help coming from below. Jules, struggling to stay afloat, screamed for his life, his panic cutting through the air. But despite the urgency, no one could get to him in time. Then suddenly what no one wanted happened. A dark shape emerged from underneath the ship, unknown to Jules, trying to reach the ship in time. A huge shark, drawn by the noise and the splash, appeared with terrifying speed. The crew tried to alert Jules, but he was himself in a state of panic. And what could he have done against a massive bull shark that has around 350 sharp teeth? Its massive body surged from the water as its jaws snapped open, and in a flash, it grabbed him. The crew could only watch in horror as the shark yanked him down into the depths, disappearing as quickly as it had come. The crew members on deck were frozen in shock as they watched the chaos unfold before them. Their colleague was in the arms of death, and all they could do was watch. The crew's hearts raced as they strained their eyes, trying to make sense of what they were seeing. Sharks' teeth are arranged in multiple rows, sharp and triangular, designed to tear through the flesh of their prey. When the shark clamped down on Jules, its teeth punctured deeply into his body, locking him in a vice-like grip. With the power of the shark's jaws and its stronghold, Jules had no chance of escaping. His struggle was useless as the predator's bite sealed his fate in an instant. Jules's legs protruded from one end of the shark's massive mouth, and his arms and head from the other. The shark had grabbed his torso in its deadly, bone-crushing bite. The crew heard his painful screams, saw a flood of red in the water, and then Jules was taken underneath the surface, never to be seen again. The aftermath of the attack was one of shock and disbelief. The crew quickly began searching the waters for any sign of him, but it was already too late. The ship's crew threw ropes and lifeboats into the water, desperately trying to rescue him, but the ocean had swallowed him whole. All that remained were the faint ripples and a chilling silence. A few minutes passed and the shark emerged from the water with its mouth wide open. The crew members saw Jules' lifeless body inside. He was being swallowed feet first. It felt like the shark was announcing that your efforts of a rescue weren't going to work because it had already won. The crew, still in shock, reported the incident to authorities. A search began immediately, but there was little hope of finding Jules alive. The area was combed, boats and divers were deployed, and local fishermen scoured the waters for any signs of the missing man. Despite the frantic efforts, no one could bring him back. The crew from other ships also joined in the search for such a deadly predator lurking in the water below them. They wanted to finish it off once and for all. They set off on smaller boats with guns and harpoons in search of the shark, and luckily saw the shark still there. They launched their harpoons and hit the target. They reeled the shark in and brought it to the shore. When it was cut open, Antoine's body was found inside the stomach. His head was severed, but he was still wearing his clothes and boots, which had deep tooth marks. Although they were sure that it was Jules, the final identification was done by his unique tattoos. The shark was 12 feet long and estimated to be around 100 years old, but no one is sure how they came to that conclusion. The shark was then stuffed and offered to the Smithsonian Institution. The discovery of Antoine's body inside the shark only added to the chilling reality of the attack. For the crew, the images of what happened were burned into their minds, forever haunting them. The incident made headlines across the region, stirring fear and fascination in the public. Jules' story tells you that sometimes you aren't doing anything wrong, but happen to be at the wrong place in the wrong moment, and that's enough to bring someone's life to its tragic end. Subscribe to our channel for more interesting videos and press the like button if you liked this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon in another video.